On this week's episode of the Rambler Sports Locker, the women's soccer team extends its winning streak to 6 games, and the women's volleyball team continues to lose.
Also, the women's golf team stays hot at the Golden Grizzly Invitational, the men's soccer team tries to get its season back on track, and Claire Philpy and her Ramble analyst discuss the Blackhawks season.
Welcome back to another edition of the Rambler Sports Locker. I'm Kelsey Frew.
And I'm Henry Redmond. The men's golf team traveled to Madison, Illinois earlier this week for the Derek Dolink Invitational after a 2-week break from competition. After the first day, Loyola was tied with Eastern Illinois for 13th place, posting a team tally of 610. Sophomore Justin LaFrance was the top Rambler on the individual leaderboard and ended the day tied for 35th place. The Ramblers wrapped up the Invitational with a final round team score of 304, keeping them in 13th place. The team was disappointed by their overall performance, but LaFrance managed to continue his strong play from day one, finishing 1 over par. He came in 21st on the individual leaderboard. Men's golf will next be heading to Des Moines, Iowa for the Zach Johnson Invitational on October 2nd and 3rd.
The women's golf team also traveled this week, taking part in the Golden Grizzlies Invitational in Rochester, Michigan. Carrying momentum from their last win, the Ramblers captured an early lead on Monday with a team score of 312 strokes. This put them 3 shots ahead of host Oakland University. Senior Jessie Stead and junior Elena Bowser topped the individual leaderboard for Loyola. The 2 players tied for 3rd after the first day, each posting a score of 77. Only 1 stroke behind, the Oakland duo tied for 1st. On the second day, the Ramblers once again posted a team score of 312, but Oakland managed to edge in and take first with 303 strokes. On the individual leaderboard, Bowser came out on top among the Ramblers to snag 2nd place with 2 over par. Stead also kept her momentum from the day before, finishing in 7th. The women will next head to Des Moines, Iowa for the Bulldog Invitational on October 9th and 10th. A lot has been happening outside of Loyola sports. RSL reporter Esther Leisha has more on this week's trending.
Thanks, Kelsey. The Chicago Cubs had a lot on their plate this week as they fought to beat the St. Louis Cardinals and earn their division title. Monday night's game resulted in the trending hashtag Nacho Man after Cubs shortstop Addison Russell took a dive into the stands, knocking over one man's nachos, then walking over a new plate of nachos for the Cardinals fan. The Nacho Man was pleased with both the gesture and the trending hashtag, tweeting a selfie with Russell and his load of nachos. While Monday night's game ended in a win for the Cubs, Tuesday's loss set the team back. Wednesday proved to be a deciding game for both teams. The Cubs clinched their 2nd consecutive National League Central Division title and left the Cardinals grappling for the wild card. After the win, fans took to Twitter with the Cubs hashtag #FlyTheW, which has been a hallmark of every Cubs win for years. The hashtag has seen even more time on Twitter as the team celebrates winning the Central Division title for the 2nd year in a row, as well as making it to the postseason for the 3rd year in a row. They haven't swung that since 1908. Fans and players are now looking to the future with hashtags like Defend the Title. First baseman Anthony Rizzo tweeted shortly after the game that the Central Division title was just the first step. Another World Series is just 11 wins away. Chicago's already buzzing with excitement for the postseason to see if the Cubs really can hashtag Defend the Title. That's all for this week's trending. I'm Esther Leisha. Back to you at the desk.
The women's soccer team continued its hot start this past Sunday against Indiana University, Purdue University, Fort Wayne. The Ramblers stomped through the Mastodons in Fort Wayne by a score of 6-1. The Ramblers were led by sophomore Alexa Tatarin with two goals, and senior Jenna Cesny added 1 goal to her team and MVC leading total of 8 goals on the season. The team is now 9-3 for the year, the best start the team has had in over a decade. The last time the Ramblers won more than 9 games was in 2008. The team leads the conference with 42 goals this season. The next closest team is Indiana State with 18. On Monday, the MVC announced freshman Lindsay Hardiman as the newcomer of the week. Hardiman scored goals in the Ramblers' 3-2 win over Evansville and against IPFW. The Ramblers will try to keep their streak alive October 1st when they take on Missouri State University at Loyola Soccer Park.
This past Saturday, the men's soccer team faced off against former MVC opponent Southern Illinois University Edwardsville at Loyola Soccer Park. The first half of the game saw limited scoring opportunities on both sides as both goalkeepers managed to stop the few shots on goal. Senior Elliot Collier went for a shot around the 20-minute mark, but was blocked by the SIUE goalkeeper. This led the former conference rivals to a 0-0 tie at halftime. Shortly into the second half, the game got more physical, with 3 yellow cards given out and both teams entering the double digits in fouls. The first yellow card was issued to freshman Lucas Imrie. Freshman Gian Magno followed suit shortly after Imrie after tripping an SIUE player for the ball. The yellow card came out as soon as the opposing players started getting physical. After a foul by the Cougars, junior Fabian Vlivska took the free kick and delivered the ball to senior Kyle Thompson for a header. Thompson managed to score the deciding goal for Loyola in the 85th minute, and the Ramblers held SIUE until the end of the game, snagging the victory with a final score of 1-0. With the win, men's soccer returns to the 500 mark with a record of 4-4-0 overall and 0-2-0 within the Missouri Valley Conference. Up next for the team is another home game on Saturday, September 30th against the University of Central Arkansas. RSL reporter Haley Spittler sat down with All-American Grant Stoneman for a closer look at his role on the team in this week's Athlete Profile.
A redshirt junior from St. Charles, Illinois, number 23, Grant Stoneman.
All-American Grant Stoneman is Loyola's defensive captain, but leading a soccer team wasn't his only focus growing up.
My parents put me through every sport possible. I mean, I went through baseball, golf, even wrestling, and at the end of the day, they told me I needed to pick one sport, and I did, and I picked soccer, and that's kind of just stuck.
Stoneman didn't start his collegiate career at Loyola. He transferred from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in the middle of his sophomore year. The move was made easy by Loyola's coaching staff.
I reached out to Neil once I got my release from Madison, and he was recruiting me before I committed to Madison, so we kind of had a relationship already, and they've been great, helped me transition in the school.
In his first year with the Ramblers, Stoneman was awarded second-team All-American honors, and he found out in an unusual way.
I was taking a nap when it happened. I got like a text from someone or an email, I forget what it was, but it was great. It kind of showed for all the hard work I kind of put in over that summer and over the year, so it was just great to see some hard work paid off.
Stoneman may have had individual success last year, but so did the team. After a record-breaking season in 2016, Stoneman believes the current team is using last year's success as a foundation.
To kind of keep it in the back of my mind and just think about what we did to get to those places that we did last year. And I know it's not going to be the same, and we have some young guys, so there's going to be some hiccups here and there. And at the end of the day, we just have to be playing our best soccer in November when it counts.
Stoneman hopes to build on the success he's had at Loyola and is looking to turn pro after he graduates.
That's definitely an option I want to try to pursue. I mean, I'm not going to play forever, so I definitely want to get a degree from Loyola, so that's definitely a route I want to try to pursue.
But before he graduates, the Ramblers have a season to play. The team is 4-4 on the year and hope to improve before the MVC tournament in November. For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Haley Spittler.
The women's volleyball team's losing streak continued over the weekend with a 3-1 loss to Drake University, 3-0 loss to number 22 ranked University of Northern Iowa, and another 3-0 loss to Missouri State University. The 3 losses bring the Ramblers' losing streak to 8 games, and their record falls to 1-13 on the season and 0-3 in the MVC. In the 47 sets played this season, the team has won just 7. The team's hitting percentage is a dismal .125. Missouri State, the conference leader, has almost double that with a percentage of .241. The team ranks last in the MVC in hitting percentage, opponent hitting percentage, assists, kills, blocks, opponent service aces, and digs. The Ramblers will face conference newcomer Valparaiso University on Sunday, October 1st in Gentile Arena.
Hockey season is right around the corner with the preseason in full swing.
Claire Philby and her Ramble analysts discuss the Blackhawks' chances of getting the Stanley Cup back this year.
Welcome back to this week's Ramble. I'm your host, Claire Philby, here with first-time Ramble analysts, Queenie Ama and Ana Maria Nunez. With preseason NHL coming to a close, the Blackhawks are 2-2 in preseason, with 2 games left in the preseason game. in preseason competition. Today, the Ramble analysts will be discussing whether or not they think the Blackhawks can make another Stanley Cup run. Queenie, what's your view?
110% they're going to make a Stanley Cup run.
And Anna Maria?
I don't believe we're going to win the Stanley Cup this year.
So Anna Maria, with that view, so what do you think about their preseason, and how do you think that's going to reflect during their actual season?
Right. So just how you say it, they've won 2 and lost 2. I think that says a lot about them. Currently in their league, they're very low. They only have 4 points. With rival teams having much more than that, I think that reflects on how they're going to perform later on the season. So definitely, I don't think that they're the Stanley winners they used to be. And I think with the preseason games like 2-2, that shows a lot on how they're going to perform.
And Queenie, how do you feel about
I
that?
definitely agree. I don't think you know what you're talking about. First of all, let's start off by this. Our coach, Joel Quenneville, has been doing this for way too long, okay? So he already knows what he's doing. There's no way we're going to fail. He's just been doing this for way too long. So just having said that, we have a great leadership team, and I think, we're going to do great.
So, Queenie, with all the older guys coming back, the 2015 team, we've got Sharp and we've got Sod back. How do you think they're going to help this younger team kind of develop?
Well, bringing old people back will definitely help train new people. The new people are just not going to help train themselves and just know what they're doing. Not saying that they're not great, but it's always nice to have someone that kind of knows what they're doing to steer them in the right direction.
And Anna, how do you think the salary cap is going to affect how do you think the salary cap has affected the teams, the players that the team has?
Right. So how you were saying, there's a bunch of new guys. So I feel that even if they have the greatest coach in the world, having lack of experience does show in your game. With the salary cap, like you were saying, what they did is I think they fill out a lot of important positions in the team with free agent players that don't have the experience of being on a team like the Blackhawks. And that will reflect on their game eventually.
Okay. And now I'm going to get some closing statements. So Queenie, from you.
Just to say that we have won the Stanley Cup 3 out of 7, and I think we are going to be definitely winning 4 more. So.
And Anna Maria?
Right. Like I said, I feel like the new players, they might be good, but they're not up to their game to be that winning Stanley Cup team that the Blackhawks need to be to play the game they need to play to win this year again.
Well, thank you guys. For this week, I'm going to have to go with Anna Maria. I do agree. I think the team is a little bit young. With the salary cap weighing in on what's going on, they're not up to the caliber that they used to be in that 2015 Stanley Cup team. That's all this week for this week's Ramble. Check back next week with Anna Maria as your host. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Claire. I have to agree with Anna Maria. I just don't think the Blackhawks have it in them for another deep postseason run.
Well, we'll see what they bring to the ice. For our full episodes and the chance to get in on the conversation, follow and like our social media handles for an up-to-date look at all things Rambler Sports.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Henry Redmond.
And I'm Kelsey Frew. Check back next week for another episode of the Rambler Sports Locker.
And as always, don't forget to turn out the lights.